Actually, I started these views about getting into this project for 4 years hard working. It's because I interest in women issues. Okay, so conceptually speaking, woman possesses a yin concept of this world. And then in the reality, you see this foot bonding, you see this concubine system. Why this whole thing is a social practice and the conceptual understanding is very different. Where this come from? So, but anyway, so with this, I traced back to about this yin yang. So today, I just give you a little taste of it, and I will do I will do what we can. I want to talk about yin yang conceptual yin yang. I call it yin yang matrix, yin yang body, and yin yang symbols. How do we read that yin yang symbol? Because it's so familiar to you, everyone, and to the West. Okay, so let's look at what's the yin yang being defined. This is a very interesting text. You will see it's 81 BCE. And they defined this is this. The top of China is between heaven and earth, and it's a border of yin and yang. If you're familiar with the Chinese culture, they always, the Chinese think about the heaven and earth, the man, there is unity, you know. So, of course, you will see between heaven and earth, here like to have a humanity, right? So, but then also talk about the yin yang is the border, so the border you can understand as interactions. So in other words, this border you can look at as a verb. So you will see, okay, so this is kind of like the whole culture is about yin yang cultivation interactions. So that's really set aside about one of things to think about the yin yang, where the text in the classical ideas to understand it. So one of text in the another is a very old text, and think about yin yang is the way of heaven and earth, core of Mary are the things, the source of transformation, root of life, and the death, the origin of all phenomena. So this is, of course, it's kind of like a medical treatise, but at the same time, to extend it, to think about the human body is a part, it's a miniature of nature, okay? In order to understand the nature, you understand your own body. Now, how your body works, it's all about yin-yang, okay? So, now, when this is also 160 BC, this is unearthed a text called the 10 questions. Okay, so 10 questions, they ask Yao and Shun, that's the dialogue between kings. So under heaven, what is the most valuable? Said the life is the most valuable. Of course, Chinese always focus on the life issues, but then the life is the most valuable, and then how can life be cultivated? Investigate yin and yang. Okay, so this is another one talk about, well, if we think about yin yang, you know, there is a true person, sage, so forth. Huan Nanzi is another Chinese earlier Chinese text to think about a real sage can do. What is about real sage is that he can really master of yin yang. So in this sense, we can see yin yang is not just a word, a noun, a term, but also it's really kind of like a string of connected of words. You also like horizons. When you talk about yin yang, your whole load of background, non-presence. So whole, it's a verb. You can't see it's noun, but it's a verb. It's a situation. So usually, we will talk about the yin yang. Okay, so there actually is a multiplicities, different levels. This is what my book is talk about. We want to look at the yin yang in these multiple ways, different layers. So this is, and especially when people think about yin yang, most of the ideas they think about harmony. See, light, white, black, you know, should be harmonized. But this is just a simplistic reading. Okay, I want to totally beyond that type of reading. So there is scholars has talked about, we talk about harmony. Okay, everyone know the balance, the harmony. So there's two kind of harmonies in Chinese culture usually. One is called the musical harmony. Music harmony we can look at is, you have to think about the symphony. Everyone plays their own role, cello, the violinist, so, but then everyone bound by common good and contribute to something else, produce this harmonious music. Okay, so in this kind of music, sense of harmony require one person, or require someone work together, teamwork, sacrifice somewhat, into this kind of wholeness. But there is another kind of harmony, is a culinary harmony. That's Chinese cooking. Right? Chinese cooking, 5 different elements. If you do a real Chinese cooking book, they never tell you 1 ounce. You make some kung pao chicken. You don't see 1 ounce of onions or soy sauce. They just said a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of salt. What is a little bit? A little bit is a little bit. It's never been scientific work, right? It's artistic. It's grandma's cooking. So in the culinary harmony, so all the ingredients integrated, become one, right? Emerged. So that type of harmony is a little different. Okay. So, but I will say besides this type of harmony that shows yin yang, it's not just a simply idea of harmony. What is really count as harmony then, right? So not besides there's 2 types, but I also want to see is Yin-Yang also is a strategy, okay? So this is thinking about how do we work things and integrate a new stage of beings, okay? So there is, background information, non-presence factor, timing, place, so forth, to get a best desirable results. Okay, so this is basically, of course, we do need to want to say, okay, what exactly is yin yang then? If you trace back very old Chinese textbook, well, there's 3 ways to understand the Chinese textbook, to understand Chinese culture. One of them is a book of songs. So the very first time yin yang 2 words getting together become expression is from these words, or from this text. They said, view the scenery at the hill looking for yin yang. That what it means, when you're going up to the mountains, or you see yin is one, okay, here is, we talk about the yin yang, is the yin yang relies on these elements. One, the sun, sunshine, right? So 2 hills, right? So when the sun set the hills, south side, of course, in China's position, and then you have most sunset, sun bright. So that's bright, that's yang. And then there is absent sunset. Another side, north side of a hill will be shadows, will absent sunshine. So that's called yin. So you can see in the very beginning, the time, the yin-yang term itself is relational, okay? Because if you don't have sunshine, do you still have a yin and a yang? Probably not, because then you don't have shadows, and you don't have the bright sunlight, right? You don't have mountains, then you will not have sunshine. Basically, you will see. So yin-yang, so that what is one thing, keep in mind, okay? And the yin-yang is not as a substance, something there, but of course you can be identified with things. And then another textbook, so the yin-yang gradually, there's a historical development about this yin-yang idea, but one of the ways they explain the natural phenomena is all through the yin-yang. For example, the earthquake. Earthquake, they think because the whole world, the whole universe is in the yin-yang interaction. But then for yang cannot get out, and the yin is suppressed, then earth's going to shake. That's how earthquake comes. Something not penetrating, something not smooth. At the health, later I can talk about health. Your sickness, what's that mean? Because yin yang cannot smoothly interaction, then you're sick. The Chinese said, 不通, it's not penetrating, not flowing, then you're sick. So sickness is it's not absence of really disease, it's a way of life. The way of life is there is something got stuck, then you're sick. Okay, so in the most of the time the scholars trying, because it's yin-yang concept itself, it can be so simple because it can apply it to everything. On the other hand, it being so complicated because everything some sort has yin and yang elements. So there's ways to talk about thinking yin-yang. Oh, yin-yang is a qi, but the qi is invisible, you know, things flowing. If you probably been living in Southern California, you heard lots of qis, you know, how qi is flowing in your body, so forth. So that's one kind of, then another one think about yin-yang is specific things, like a man is yang, woman is yin, activity and aggressiveness is yang, action is yang, you know, passivity, yielding, and softness is yin. You know, you all see these kind distinctions. That's make some sense, but then you cannot just stop understand in this way. So I want to look at later this yin-yang theory. This is probably a little scholarly, and the idea of how yin-yang itself, it's not by itself, it's a term, it's conceptual, and then become then interconnected with the 5 elements. Okay, if you're familiar with Chinese medicine, and then that will be very much being discussed in yin and yang is a diagnosis, is a treatment, yin-yang and the 5 elements. So I want to also talk about, very quickly, talk about in the yin-yang, from a historical point of view, there is yin-yang schools. That's like if you understand Chinese thinkers, you know, history, you have Confucianism, you have Taoism, you have Moism, legalism, logicians, and then of course you have the yin-yang schools. So usually people will not pay too much attention to them, but because the yin-yang, the school itself, they have a specific skills because they can read oracle bones, you can tell the fortunes, but they also can look at the skies to determine the timing. Because in China, calendar making is very important because it's agriculture, agriculture society. How do the farmers really realize the timely rains, plenty sunshine, the crop will blossom, and people's life will be we say flourish. But to be a farmer, very important is to have a calendar, you know, what to plan what. So then making calendar is this school of this Yinyang School doing it. Okay, so these pictures, it's very interesting. It's also found in the Xinjiang unearthed time before, you know, 200 BC, a tomb. Now, about the interesting these things is that how Chinese think about a world, beginning of world, because in here is male and female, Yuan and the Fuxi, this is brothers. There's a lot. It's a mythological form, figures, and then they are intertwined. Okay, so the most important things you can see, they are the creative. I don't see in Chinese, you don't use the idea of a creator because there's no external powers to create this world, but rather Dao give birth to the world, generation. That's what it's about, not a creation. It's interesting because this is very different, because if you have the generation, like Newtonian's idea, then you have to have external powers, right? You have the ultimate cause, make this world move, right? So in Chinese, no, they always something internally generated. You know what? It was the case, it is the case, it will be the case. There is no beginning, there is no end, because even if there is beginning, there will be end. So in this picture, you will see woman plays a role in the generating this universe, this world. right? It's a necessary element, necessary condition to have yin, to have a female. Okay, so it's not a male being generated then female. No, at the same time. So it's a necessary and conditions for both. Okay, so this is a very, very unique views about, about the Chinese culture. We were back to, then you talk about, what happened to all this women submissive to men, all this. The historians give you a whole lot of stories. But about the very early time, there is other conceptual levels. Okay, yin always have its important and a necessary condition, a time, importance. Okay, one of the things I just want to quickly say, so why we have all these, rules, especially from Song and the Ming, this much later, we see 10 centuries, and this, because one of it said, because women become too crazy, it's too hard to control. So then they have to, they have to have rules to make sure the woman carry their offsprings. So that's lots of discussion. But if you back to the metaphysical views, cosmology, you see yin everywhere. Okay. So, and then we will see, one of the things that we'll see, you can see, conceptually you will see everything is about the yin yang. Either about the yin yang in the sense of you can look at it as the elements, or you can look at it as the functions. Okay, something play the role of yin or play the role of yang. Something will have elements of yang, of yin. Here's the example, okay? So if you think of male, it's easy to understand, male is yang. Yes, male is yang, and because it's, but a healthy male should have yin elements. That means the femininity and the passiveness, yielding, softness, okay? So a female take a biological form of yin form, but it's necessary to have this aggressiveness and active and this kind of elements. This is the best in terms of personality, personal disposition, health, everything else. Okay, so yin yang, it's not definitive the definitions. Something you have to be yin, that's it. But yin yang is alternate and in a different context. And this is, you can see many things in this kind of way to understand. So of course, standard distinctions, I would say, you can see night, dark, cold, negative, passive, is yin and yang of that. However, one of the things, because Western mind tend to think, like to use dualistic views to think about, right? Let's start with Descartes. I think therefore I am. So therefore, if you think, dark, that's bad. No, this yin yang would never have these evaluative terms. Do you no matter how much you like a day, do you really hate night? Right? So I tell my student, you don't want to sleep. Why don't you think there's 24 hours a cycle all daytime? Or you love to go party at night. You hate the day, you hate the sunrise. But yes, sun will be rise regardless whether you like or not. Right? So that, in other words, dark doesn't mean bad. Okay? Dark doesn't mean you have to, somewhat being denied a low. No, it's a part of all the existence. Okay? Accepted, work with it, that's what it is. So, and another thing about this, I often use these examples to think about the yin yang. Okay, there is no way, anytime you pick up yin yang, you think because it's a circle. So therefore, anytime you lifting it's okay. It's not just one way to present it. Right? Every way you present it, it's fine. It just means sometimes yang is dominant, sometimes yin is dominant. When night come to, to the end, the darkest time is before dawn, and then they start come, right? Then you gradually alternate, evolve, and lost the light, and give the place to the yin. Okay, so this you can see the alternations. Okay, also we tend to like to make this kind of very we say strict distinction. If you use that to understand the yin yang, then you really lost the point, because yin yang itself is interrelated. It's dynamic. Okay, there is no. So I also want in the Chinese thing. It's interesting, Yin Yang is so deeply embedded in all aspects of Chinese thought and culture. One of his things is like officers. One book, The Ritual of Zhou, is also one of the oldest texts, 500 BC. They talk about officials. How do you going to do the officials? They will say, okay, they have heaven, earth, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So they use kind of yin yang, because yin yang originally also is a seasonal change. So then you have positions, you have, all kind patent. Human beings, any kind of human organization, system, including the human body, is a patent learned from nature. So you can see many of this kind. Okay, I want to see this one of very interesting examples. This is the Zhongshu. It's kind of like a Han Dynasty, Confucians. Okay, so he basically is the one using yin yang to explain the whole things, apply to it. One of the examples, the funny things is, okay, so you see you have the flood. What's that flood means? Flood means in too much. Okay, so then what are you going to do? So then you will see, okay, if the in too much, we lock the woman at home and open the south gate, and then to this way to let the yin yang somewhat control the yin, less yin elements emit to the world, and then we can will be better control flood. Now, another draw. Draw is very interesting. Draw means what? Means too much yang, no good. So then he required, listen to this, he required every man and woman should have intercourse, because then man has to make a woman happy, so that you can release lots of yin elements to the world to help control the draw.
All right.
Make a woman happy, get a woman so excited, and open the south gate. So there is a whole lot. The idea is how our human behavior actually contribute to the nature, to the world. All right. He has this whole fancy magic. You will see. Okay. So. There is another thing actually very interesting talking about, it's the idea of a soul. Okay, so for Chinese, they have two kinds of soul. It's also two kinds of soul. It's yin soul and yang soul. Okay, one is the hun, one is the po. Okay, so what the hun po, the idea is when you die, your hun is yang. Okay, so it's yang and going up to sky, and your yin soul will descend, will go down to the earth. Okay, so there is quite a better. So there's a practice. Why I want to talk about this conceptual, this idea hun and po, because then they come to a feng shui. Okay, do you all know the feng shui? You know how to organize your family, your residency. Okay, what's the feng shui is this idea behind that. You want, it's not like what do you do, where you live, how do you live. It's all about how to allow yourself or your surroundings. You have this qi flow better. Okay, so therefore you design this your physical residence in the better way when give you a certain kind of positive. We'll see is the attitude or the way of living. But then the feng shui, the ultimate idea later, although at the beginning, is about when your soul going down to the earth, how to make a better home for your soul. So that's what is a feng shui started. So they think about, here's the thing, said if the qi flows, facing the mountain, in the base, the mountain, the qi will be stop, okay, because it will block, you let it stop, it will generate. If foam blows, okay, the wind blows, then qi will be disappeared. So then they want to find some place you have mountain, and then you also have water, because water is attracting the qi. Let the qi stay in there. So they always in the front have water, in the back have a mountain, and then you're facing south. Because this is basically experience. When you're in the south side of a crop growing better because of more sunshine. If you have tomato in your backyard, you probably recognize that. So that's why you think LA is a great place, because you have the mountain in the back and you have ocean in the front. Ideal for the feng shui, as the feng shui master talk about. That's why they all buy house here. So that's kind of the idea of where the soul goes. It's an interesting time. Think about Yin Yang can so deeply grounded. It's about a hun, so it's about the part of soul. And okay, so now you're going to go in Beijing now. So another one, the city design. City design, the whole, there is no another. Okay, I've been around many big countries in this world. The Paris, okay. People live in Paris for 30 years, they still need a map going around. So I always that is add on, medieval time, add on. Now you look at China, the city is designed very orderly, okay. This order, where this idea come from, is still thinking about how our human beings residents should have correspond with nature. And then how do you correspond? Using the principle of Yin Yang. So the Beijing city is designed, use this kind of Yin Yang principles. Here are some examples. If you go to Beijing, there is Temple of Heaven. Temple of Heaven in the south. Every heaven is a circle. Everything is a circle in Temple of Heaven. Corresponds in the north will be a Temple of Moon. Moon, it's called 日坛, one is 月坛, the 月坛, sorry, yeah, 月坛. And then the moon in the earth is a square. Earth in their mind is a square because you have 5 directions. So then everything you see in the Temple of Moon is squared. Okay, so the whole city design, there is 4 directions, there is a center. If you go into China also, you will see the Forbidden City is absolutely in the center in Beijing, rather than then you have south, and then you have north, you have Forbidden City, you have a Temple of Heaven here, then you Temple of Moon in the back, south, north. And then when they are building Olympic studio, Olympic Park, they go into straight line. Everything on this Forbidden City has to go, regardless of who you are. There is no that starts a human rights issue. America will never do that. No, everything is cleared. Everything cleared on this line. Cleared this kind of line. When I was doing the consultant for Will Smith and Jackie Chan's movie, the Karate Kid, they film in China 210. So I said, hey, you should go have a helicopter and look at that straight line. But they couldn't really do it because the Chinese got moving along. But you see that movie, they did that in the Great Wall. You see that little Jaden kicking and, they shoot on the top of Great Wall. But if really someone can shoot, if you can really do it, can see it's totally straight line. And they from a Forbidden City to Olympic Park. It's a very interesting phenomenon. But the whole this idea still going back to sense of yin yang. So you can see the four. They also have a temple. Temple of heaven and temple of earth. Right. That's what's in the south. Then temple of moon, temple of sun. 4 temples. Okay. Sun, moon, heaven, and earth in the 4 directions. Okay. So, of course, another things we will seek a lot is the Chinese medicine. Okay, so medicine is another miniature to understand this idea of yin yang. So this is all I will say. Ban Que, one of Chinese important physicians. Okay, so when we were looking at human body. Okay, human body is just a miniature of nature, miniature of universe. If you want to find everything in the nature, you find it in human nature, human beings. Human body, like, acupuncture, right? Acupuncture, you have, 360 points. Wow, what that? It corresponds to the year, cycles, right? You have 12 channels, corresponds the 12 months of year. So these whole things is about in understanding yin yang. The body is organic whole. You have a certain. You will see there is yin is kind of like the structure function as yang, and then you have 5 organs. They will call the yang organ. Then there's some called the yin organ. You can go in very sophisticated way to think about the Chinese medicine. It's totally whole lot. It's about yin yang. So I think I probably will go a little faster on this one because so this is whole another area. If we do a Chinese medicine, they always get you into a diagnosis, look at your tongue's color, listen to your pulse, and it's treat your body as a system, right? And then the second, how this your yin yang flow in your body, and also, so that I probably the whole idea of your sickness is all about whether your yin yang not being worked well. So I think because of time things, I think I probably will be fast forward this idea. One thing I want to see is either the diagnosis or treatment, all this come to idea of yin yang. In other words, when you're eating, you're not eating a food. You either eating yin or you either eat yang. Yeah, every food has a yin and a yang. Like I remember, okay, when I'm pregnant, one thing that I can't really stand for most Chinese probably have the same kind of idea is, my God, when you're a pregnant woman, you just gave birth to a child, you stay in the hospital, they serve you ice water. That's crazy, ice milk, ice cream. That's impossible. He said, wow, how could this world, can this be? I don't want ice, I want everything hot. He said, what's going on? Here's the idea, because I just exercised most of my yin function. I'm yin's a woman, gave birth. So I lost a lot of yin. I need a yang, I need a ginger, I need a hot soup. Never have cold stuff, never. You got to see, and then you got you into a problem. I told my daughter, no, when you're period, you cannot drink cold water. I said, what? What's that? Yes, because your yin is depleting, you need a yang. This doesn't work in the Western mind. So this is so crazy. Right? So I don't actually know which one is right, but I don't drink cold water. And I always go there, I said, okay, I want the hard water. What's that? What's the hard water? Okay, I want the tea without the tea bag. You get that? That's a hard water. That's what I said. Oh, everyone to go. Okay, this woman wants the hot tea without tea bag. That's the way we always go. Because the single cold is too bad, you know. Even in summer, it's okay. So one of the things I was thinking about the yin yang. You can yin yang as a strategy. Okay, in the very old textbook of Huainanzi, half the story. Okay, I want to also see in China the horse plays an important role in people's life. Okay, so horse, but of course for the fighting and for the transportation, so forth. So in the Huainanzi, he pointed out, so yin-yang as a canopy, and the earth as a carriage, four seasons as steeds, and the yin-yang as like riding the horse. So wonderful this yu, so that you're looking at very much yu is riding the horse. There's 5 elements to this riding the horse. Okay, what is the first one? This is old text talking about. So one is when you're riding the horse with the horse drawing the card, they have bells, okay? Have bells around the 4 angles. If your horse rider gallops rhythm, have certain kind of rhythm, the bell make a beautiful sounds. If the rhythms of the bells is think that it's a noise. It's not a beautiful sound. So they can see by the sound, they can see whether you are good horse ride. Secondly, called 左水区 means so they don't have this cement or the bad super highways, right? There is a little road. So road around the rivers is very dangerous. You can flip over down to somewhere. So then you can carefully, it's a winding road, you can doing good job. That means you have a good art of you. The third one is when you see some memory honorable sight, you can show your respect. So that's another thing. So you still have, even you're riding the horse, but then you're also showing respect when you go into places. The fourth one, it's also to when you go into intersections. Okay, so then you are really going through carefully, not hitting anyone. Well, if you go in China or somewhere being in China, you will know that's you just ride in China's road. I almost give you a heart attack, but you got a close eye. You don't know because you can touching another cars and they are just no rules. They created their own rules. It's very interesting experience, and now it's getting better. But it's something, you know. I tell my friend in China, I can never drive in China because I will kill one a day every day. Too complicated road condition. You know, I don't have that art. The fifth one is when you're driving the car or driving the horse. It's also for the hunting, so they can chase animal in the left, and then you can shoot a better. So that's kind of art. How do you can chase animal in your left side? So all this is a part of art. This is a part of art, just like you're reading and you're doing math. Okay, so it's really a cultivation of a whole person. So then if we really look in this situation, we really think about if yin-yang is horse, you know, riding a horse, you're really thinking you are navigating you're navigating the past, but there is different elements, right? You have horses have their own temperament. They not listen to you. Even you want to go fast, they go slow. You go slow, they go fast, right? So how do you handle the horses? Right? Sometimes say, oh gosh, you're in the classroom. How do you handle your students? Right? Kind of, you know, any kind of management you're dealing with. How do you handle this whole, you know, things? Right? And then the horse has certain kind of power. You have a terrain. You have weather, you have the purpose, you have a goal, you want to get in somewhere, right? So all these elements interplay. How do you work these elements together? So for yin-yang now come up to dealing with these different elements and work with it. Now, Dao De Jing has the Dao De Jing is the Taoist text 500 BC. Never mentioned Yin Yang. There's one term in chapter 42 talk about everything have yin on the back, and then that's yang in the front. Okay, every existence you confront what it is, but there is also some elements which is unseen, always there. What you see, do not forget what you not seen. Every event, person, whatever you want to think about. So in the riding the horse, it's importantly in the Lids, one of the texts we think you really want to focus on your mind. Okay, internally you have a certain kind of temperament riding the horse, right? So if you worry too much, why I'm going so slow? Why the horse don't listen to me? Blah, 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 that will be messed you up even more, right? So you're calm. So externally you want how to follow the temperament of a horse. Okay? So then but you have this breath you are pulling with. So this is you hold, you get it in your heart, but your hand responds to it. There's a hard hand coordination too coming up during this riding a horse. So this is, you have giving, you have taking, pull, and so they call it equalize. Well, it's kind of like you can multiply this method everywhere, a personal relationship, how much you should give, how much you should take, right? It's kind of like a delicate situation to do, like a friendship, okay, a relationship. You have so much yin or so much yang, you want to control, it's mine. No, it's not yours, right? It was a yin, oh yeah, you lead, you completely gave up. That's not healthy either. Friendship is something produced in a thirdness, right? Belongs to two people, but yet you create the thirdness. This thirdness will be united us maybe, but then there also is interactions. So this is what we will see. One of the things actually in the book I really want to focus on is think about Yin Yang, how it's a strategy. Because this is going so long, if you ask, it's an Asian, this is Chinese, how is the Chinese mentality? How they kick? What makes them tick? Right? How do you dealing with them? 关系. Everybody says, ooh, 关系. It's not a contract, it's a 关系. Why is it 关系? Right? If you really think about why they pay so much importance is this idea of 关系, is the social relations, the connect network, because they're always thinking about what is unseen, what is non-present. They always think about the yin. Okay, they work in the background, and then they're getting a deal or getting things done. So that's one thing we tend to forget about the yin yang. We can't just think about it, just yin yang is harmony, balance. There is more to it. Now about also have yin yang symbols. One and how the black, white, the circles, right? Originally we will see, okay, symbol can give rise to thought. So how do we read these symbols? Okay, so I want to see. Well, this has become just see. For Chinese, always have the ideas. The words can be just limited. Okay. Now here is a Chinese word. It's a Chinese word probably know is a character. Okay. Character is different than phonetic. Phonetic letters mostly it's just the meanings. Chinese will have a meaning, implication, and images. Every Chinese characters create images, and through the images, and then they will create implications. Simple examples: Coca-Cola invade China. Everybody drop the teapots and pick up the Coca can. How do we translate these words? Guess what? Happiness in mouth. Happiness in mouth. That's the Coca-Cola. Wang I just learned. Wang in Chinese. It's chemical compounds, right? How Chinese translate? Magnificent brother. Magnificent brother. That is defined as Viagra. You can see how this words works, right? So then Chinese created their own Viagra. They called treasure of man. So what it means is in Chinese thinking process, images always plays a role. Okay, in the early time, the Han Dynasty, there is a debate. Debate is about how do we understand the classics? Do we do the interpretation, meaning, or we use images and the numbers to understand? So that's a whole debate. One of a group will say, no, we understand this whole world should use images. So this is come to a two. So then yin-yang symbols, it's come from this old tradition. It's called this basic tool-making tradition. Probably some of you in the I Ching as hygiene, 8 trigrams, do the so this is all it's about to how to organize all the informations in human world into the 8 forms, and also presented visually. Okay, it's a visually presented. This kind is called you can see xiang, to present making a world being known to us through images. Okay, so now this is probably this is going to be too technical. You don't. We don't have time to do it, but it's the images they make the He later, and then river, and then the road riding, and then there's a story. So all this type of image making eventually lead to creation of yin-yang symbol. So yin-yang symbol is not somebody who created, then I have property rights, then I get it. Nobody, who knows what is happening, but it is how, it's a long history. The oldest yin-yang symbol, but probably actually through this Zhao Huiqian's, it's only 14th century, and somebody said, oh, they got it from Italian, Italy, and I don't know, and then just like, oh, Marco Polo went to China, learned the spaghetti, was that true, this is one of the things very interesting we think about the yin-yang symbol. It's really this teapot shaped part, right? So it's interesting. It's a dark within light, light within dark. If you cover the little dark part, the eye part is a fish symbols. It's a little fish chasing each other. If you really look at it, you can think about it as a fish chasing other. One of the stories thinking about there's many different ways to think about it. One thing about, oh, you know what? Those old ancient, our sage went to Yangtze River and the Yellow River. That's the two main rivers in China. Yellow River is muddy and the Yangtze River is light, and they interact each other and then create this yin-yang symbol. Well, that's not really true. But however, in Chongqing, in China, I actually truly experienced and in the dark in that city, you can see the muddy river, muddy water, and then light water really interact. Swallow, say, wow, that look like yin-yang symbol. That's pretty cool. But you see, it's really hoops, they're making these hoops. So I think it is important thinking about it. It's, another thing is people doing lots of study between Greeks and Chinese. In the Greeks, the math, the geometry plays an important role. This geometry, you have this certainty, rationality, and then, but then another hand, biology, it's more, dynamic. But this one, it's a rotation. I would really want to think about the yin-yang. It's a triadic thinking. It's kind of like in Chinese, also you have this kind of circling, flowing. Okay, if you see the Karate Kid Jackie Chan said, 物极必反 another term. I give him that term. And because I read the script, I went to Will Smith's home, and we talked about script. I said, in here, you should use the Chinese word, which is things too extreme, then we'll be reverse it. And they actually really used in that film. So it's a very important Chinese way of thinking, which is, I want to see is, you are, it's like a hooks, interrelated. Okay, well, one thing I will say, ultimately, okay, one of the ideas I myself trying to work out is I kind of like work out 6 ways to grasp yin yang. And all these 6 ways also, each of them, okay, I give text examples to supporting the way the how yin yang works. The bottom line is this. Bottom line is when we hear every element, human beings or event, things, actions, is interrelated. Okay, you cannot treating anything isolated on itself. You want to see the relationships, independence, mutual contentment, interactions, complementary, exchange, transformation. So all this work, that probably the best way we'll see yin yang tell us about, or we need to learn about. Okay? So that's what we can learn from this Chinese way of thinking. But it just happened this way is very much connected with contemporary, science, interdisciplinary, where we see system theory, emergence, complexity, all that things actually become more and more important, right? So, but if with this background, some people, for example, people so worried China becomes this political powerhouse. Do they ever going to invade a world? What's going to be happen to China? Okay, lots of people know China, know Chinese mentality. So guess what? China don't ever invaded anybody through the history. If they want to invade anything, or invade at all, they will invade through gongbao chicken. What does that show? Is that because they are too much caught in this yin-yang thinking. Okay, you always think about how to work things out, not aggressive, not overcome something, but work something out. Now, look at right now, China penetrate Africa. Africa's the buildings, the railways, everything, hard infrastructure by Chinese, and they don't fight. Do they invade? In a way they did, right? But in a different way. So if you look at really the idea, their thought, they have, I guess it's more complicated than what we think. So I guess my time is out. I wanted this.